We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
This is the Anadromist, Byrne Power, coming to you from Tbilisi, Georgia. And I thought I would do something a little different. Of course, everyone is aware of the global pandemic, the Wuhan virus. And, of course, it's got its scientific name, but I'll mention that a little bit more in a minute. But, of course, we're affected by that here just as people all over the world are being affected by it. If you have transportation coming in and out of your country, you're going to be affected by this. So I thought what I would do is kind of a combination of an audio journal, which I often make for myself, and a video for you. And, these are just my thoughts on the current moment. You can take them or leave, and you probably got your own thoughts, so. Yes, we do have the virus here. It is down there in Tbilisi. 2 weeks ago, we had 2.5 weeks ago, we had one person coming in from Azerbaijan over the border. They had been in Iran. A couple days later, we had 3 people. Last week, we had 12. Yesterday, my last counting, we had 30. Plus, we have several hundred, I believe it's about 350 people under quarantine who've been in contact with those people. And interestingly enough, about 10 to 15 of those people broke quarantine yesterday to go out into the, just because it's a self-imposed quarantine. And I guess they just got tired of sitting around in the house. They got put under actual quarantine as opposed to just segregating themselves. So yeah, it started to affect the way the country is. Things that have been affected. Well, of course, all the countries that have coronavirus are not allowed to come here. I expect pretty soon they're going to have a complete transportation blockage. And of course, with what's going on in America, not that I was planning on going back, but I certainly can't get back anytime soon. And you know what? That's interesting. I find that interesting. Of course, it's sad, all the people who are dying as a result of this, and more people will certainly pass away as a result of this virus. But viruses have always come and gone. And so I started having other thoughts. But let me stick with what's happening in Tbilisi first. I went to a first-run movie. It's Sunday today, 3 days ago, on Thursday. The movie's open here on Thursday. I was one of 3 people in the movie theater. It was in a huge mall, the Tbilisi Galleria. Yes, it's a chain. And interestingly, there's a lot less people in the mall. There are fewer people in the streets, although people are still getting around, but you can feel a noticeable difference. People are purposely not doing what Georgians always do when they see you, is greet you and touch you. That's not happening. There are, you just get this sense that things are going to start shutting down. Even the McDonald's here is only open 5 days a week right now. Strange. And I went by last night at 9 o'clock, walking by it at night, and it was closed. I was shopping at a store at 9 o'clock at night because one thing I've learned is to just go when there's not a lot of people there. If I go at 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, there's going to be a lot of Georgians there. I don't know how many there are now because I'm only going before noon or to go do shopping in, say, the large Carrefour store where I can find a lot of things that are harder to find normally. It's fascinating what this is doing. Of course, I'm monitoring the internet. Follow, news sites, and I follow various YouTubers and such from different countries, and I'm getting an interesting idea of what this is doing around the world. And what it's doing is it's sending everyone home to spend more time at home. So that, to me, is a very interesting development. I think we can safely say that the 2020s are no longer at all like the 20-teens. I don't know why people call it tens. Stupid name. Anyway, the 20-teens. It's interesting how things do change, but you could almost feel things changing in the last part of last year, that we just couldn't go on the way we were. And sure enough, we're not going to. Susan Sontag said that illness was a metaphor, which is a very interesting idea, because illnesses come to symbolize different things at different times. For instance, cancer is one of the great diseases of the 20th century. Not that it didn't exist before, but people were living longer. And also we were using chemicals and ingredients that people hadn't used before, creating environments where one could develop cancer. Interestingly enough, what is cancer? Cancer is it's a cell that doesn't stop growing within the body. There's no way to stop it. It doesn't behave. It's just unlimited growth, which is very much the 20th century. In other words, if one thinks about cancer, it is certainly a metaphor for the kind of growth. In a sense, we get the kind of diseases that that mirror the way we live. AIDS could be seen as a disease of too much intimacy. Hysteria back in the Victorian era could be seen as bottling women up into these super tight corsets and dresses, and treating them in a way they really shouldn't be treated, and it developing these symptoms. And of course, one could go on and kind of looking for metaphors for all these things. Obviously, heart diseases relate to our food consumption. And our food consumption, again, goes back to, especially in the West, our overconsumption. But this is a very interesting disease because, of course, it affects your respiratory system and, leads to things like pneumonia, both of which have been around forever. But what this is doing to us is sending us home. And we live in a time where people are already isolated. That is to say, how many percentile of people have a smartphone? I do not. I have a dumb phone. I have a dumb phone for a very good reason. I've watched people on their smartphones. I've watched what it does to our behavior. And I don't like it. So I'm going to keep my dumb phone as long as possible because I don't want to be connected to the media stream of the entire world 24/7. I want a break. I want to be able to live. So here I am on the side of Matatsuminda Mountain in Tbilisi. It's great. This is like a 20-minute walk from my house, and I'm suddenly up in the middle of the mountains. Maybe I'll show you just what it looks like if I do a 360 here. But nevertheless, this new disease, as it spreads, this virus is keeping us apart from each other. And it's like the perfect gift. It's like, yeah, you didn't want to be together anyway. Why don't you feel what it really feels like? Why don't you feel what it feels like when you do what you are actually doing to yourself? and make it physical. And to me, you know what? That's kind of a gift. This might do what the insanity of our social networks can't do for us. It might actually make people stop and look at the people who are in their house. It might make them stop and think, how can we spend time together? That is valuable. And that is the main thought that I have had since this thing started, is that, yeah, I'm spending more time indoors. I've got a friend coming over tomorrow afternoon. We're just going to spend time talking because, you see, restaurants are closing. Cafes are closing. So where can you go? You have to go back to the houses. Amongst people you're relatively secure about them not being exposed to the virus. Well, of course, no one can be totally secure. And I think we're going to see exponential growth here very soon. So that, 2 weeks ago it was 3, today it's 30. Do the math in 3 weeks. Do the math in a month. You'll start to see what I'm talking about. So the word is exponential. So yeah, we're being driven back. The nice thing is I can walk up on the side of the mountain as much as I want, because no one can infect me here. That's perfect. And what we need is more reality in this world, and full reality, not just the scientific, blank slate of material reality, but a really breathing, living, full reality. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like the name COVID-19. It makes it sound like some sort of, weird hand sanitizer used in a medical facility. It just doesn't sound real. And what's the next one going to be called? I know 19 is named after 2019. Will the next one be called 20 or 25? I prefer names like Ebola or German measles, or things that are named after actual places and whatever. I prefer that. My favorite name of all, the Black Death. Why? That pretty much sums up the thing. Yeah, it's the bubonic plague, which is a better name than something like COVID-19. So I prefer Wuhan virus. I notice what most people do is just call it the coronavirus, even though coronavirus isn't the name of the specific franchise, we'll call it. So anyway, wherever you are, keep yourself safe. Learn to appreciate the world around you. Get away from people. That's fine, or hang out with the people have been, taking care of themselves, and be kind to people. And if you can do something for people, do. But remember, in this situation, the best thing you can do is probably just stay away from people for a while. But more importantly, think about the reality of the world you live in. So I'll call it quits. I didn't want to make a long video. I just wanted to share a few thoughts. So this is Byrne in Tbilisi, Georgia, asking you to swim against the stream. And fortunately, we're being given a gift. It's bad, it's sad that people have to die. But if people can learn from this, maybe we can go a different direction, or at least begin to find our footsteps on a new path. Oh, and you can support the channel and subscribe and hit like and send things through PayPal. Bye.
A people without history is not redeemed from time. For history is a pattern of timeless moments.